Dad, do you love me?
Sometimes.
Parenting is the process of taking care of children until they are old enough to take care of themselves. Parenting today has become a difficult, complex and often exhausting business. The demands of juggling personal, professional and family obligations combined with a changing world and increased social isolation have led to a gradual deterioration of authority. Parents today often feel that they can no longer act and respond effectively to the negative behavior of their children. The parents of children with severe behavioral problems often view themselves as having less power than the child, believing that nothing can work and feeling defeated in advance when it comes to demands or confrontations. In addition, parents often feel guilty, either directly or indirectly, for their inability to limit or stop their children's negative behavior. What has happened to today's parents? Are we worse parents than the parents of previous generations? Are we to blame our children for their deterioration behavior? Our answer is unequivocally no. In order to understand the difficulties and challenges that today parents have to face, we must understand the greater complexity and changed dynamics that are involved in parenting today. Extended family and the community have disappeared. Years ago, parents received greater support from grandparents, siblings and neighbors. Changes in society have led to an increased feeling and detachment, both from extended family members and from our community. Nowadays, family members often live far away, grandparents are busy with their own occupations, and we no longer have a sense of community. Changes in technology and media have led to many wonderful changes in today's world. Unfortunately, it has also negatively affected parents' ability to monitor and supervise their children's activity. The infiltration of television, computers, internet, and smartphones into kids' world often means that parents are more limited in their ability to know what is happening in their child's life. This inability to properly supervise children has also contributed to parents' loss of authority. We can find three main parenting styles: authoritarian, authoritative, and permissive. First of all, we'll talk about the authoritarian parenting. The children that have this style parents are expected to follow the strict rules established by their parents. Failure to follow the rules usually results in punishment. Authoritarian parents fail to explain the reason of the rules. If children ask them to explain, the parents might simply reply, "because I said so." These parents have high demands but are not responsive to the children. The next one is the authoritative parenting style, which establishes rules and guidelines that the children are expected to follow. However, this parenting style is much more democratic. Authoritative parents are responsive to the children and willing to listen to questions. When children fail the expectations, these parents are more nurturing and forgiving rather than punishing. Other style of parents is the permissive, sometimes referred as an indulgent parent, have very few demands to make to the children. These parents rarely discipline the children because they have relatively low expectation of maturity and self-control. Permissive parents are generally nurturing and communicative with the children, often taking on the status of a friend more than that of a parent. Now we're going to talk about some examples we can find in our environment nowadays, such as series, programs. In Modern Family, we can see that even there are difficulties, they can solve them with words, no matter which type of parents you are. Here you see how Gloria says Jay that many admires him, and what he did was bad, but Jay tells her that he didn't want him to be discriminated. But here in Mom, when they have difficulties, they think that violence may be the way to solve things at first, but when they know why they have behaved like that, they know what to do. Also, there are some programs that show how children grow. Those are Super Nanny, which talks about bad children when they are little, or Hermano Mayor, which shows the bad behavior of teenagers. Super Nanny wants to change the behavior of the children with games and showing what they have to do in a fun way. These things work because they are little, but when they are older, it's more difficult to solve the problems they have. That's why the process is different. In this case, Hermano Mayor is who makes them change. The methodology that he uses is making them feel bad about what they do, filming them and then showing how they behave. After all this, we're going to see what people think.
I think the most important thing in this situation not only is the behavior of the parents, but also the behavior of the community and the society about this situation. No? It's important how father and mother or two fathers or two mothers can read about some situation, but there is most important, in my opinion, that how the total of the society can read or how they behave about other people who are in a different situation.
Well, we think that to be a gay person is not a problem to be father. The important is if you are ready to have a son or a daughter or not, nor your sexual condition.
Parents have always influence on all aspects of their children's life, and of course on their attitudes at schools. Family is the first window children have of life. The way parents behave with the teachers, the way they are involved in the activities at the schools, affect children's attitudes at school, children's understanding, and even their school achievements. I think such children's behaviors are due to the fact that parents don't set limits, and children get everything they want.
I think in Super Nanny program, problems are between parents and child, and when a family resolves these problems, child are stronger for future problems in the future. But in Hermano Mayor program, I think we can see problems between child and their environments external to their families, and not are the same problems.
I'm not sure really if one people that had been seeing violence at home when they are children, it could be a violent person, because it's probably that some people tends to imitate the behavior they have been seeing, but there are also people that have a reaction about his behavior and wants to avoid it.
Well, sometimes parents and teachers have different points of views of expectations about children, but fortunately I've never had a problem here at this school, a big problem, a severe problem. I think when school and parents collaborate together on the same objective, all the problems can be solved.
I don't know how are the ideal child. In fact, I think that there is not any ideal child. Everyone is different, and you have to try that they, at the end, they grow up being good person, being happy, that they can do something good with their lives.
About homosexual parents, it is not as important their sexual condition as the way they bring up their children. It is obvious that children imitate everything they see at home. Moreover, it's important to avoid bad behavior, putting limits and rules to them. As well as school and parents have to collaborate on the same direction, just not to create their ideal child. Due to this prototype doesn't exist, if not to become them in a responsible adult. We are not sure that parenting styles have an effect on children in a positive or negative way, so we decided to look into this big discussion. There are people who think children adopted by same-sex parents will have disadvantages in whatever way and they will face up the problems, being the parent's sex orientation the only reason, which is commonly misunderstood. We have found 3 articles which are studies where they analyze every aspect in the life of those children adopted by same-sex parents and those adopted by heterosexual parents, and the results disclose the disadvantages and benefits this type of family could offer the children. First of all, we found a study from the University of Houston whose purpose was to identify the factors that contribute to family functioning in 3 different types of adoptive families: gays, lesbian, heterosexual, and those involving the adoption of children with special needs. These 3 types were examined at the same time in order to see the difference and similarities in adoption practice. The results showed no negative effect on children adopted by same-sex parents. Moreover, higher levels of family functioning were found to be associated with gay, lesbian, headed family adoptions of older children, non-sibling group adoption, and children with more foster placements. Besides, children with special needs, younger and disabled child adoption experimented higher levels of family functioning too. Children adoption need to put a child in a home as early as possible, ensure strong support networks for families who adopt children with disabilities and sibling groups, and encourage same-sex parents to adopt, especially for older children. Secondly, there is an article from Louisiana State University which defends children adopted by gay, lesbian parents don't have disadvantages in any respect based on research carried out by the American Psychological Association, APA. This article is supported by 59 published studies more cited by the APA. However, 36 of 59 of these studies on same-sex parenting styles when compared with heterosexual parents. Besides, in this comparison, studies singles mother were often used as the hetero comparison, so the conclusion is that strong assertions were not empirically guaranteed. The last article from the University of Texas points out the difference between children adopted by same-sex parents and adopted by heterosexual parents when they are adults. The new family structure study is a social science project that carried out a survey to American young adults from 18 to 39 years old, who are brought up in different family types. The result reflects numerous differences between homosexual and heterosexual parents. This study proposes considerable diversity among same-sex parents. That means children have more freedom to decide their own sexual condition, because, for instance, a child adopted by homophobic parents doesn't have even think about the idea of loving somebody who has the same sex as him. On the other hand, there is an article from the University of Houston which is about families headed by alcoholic parents and how it can have influence on children. We have seen in different studies what ways can influence on the use of alcohol in adolescents. There are family environment, peer influence, and parental expectations. One study examined the relationship between these influences and tests the potential effects of parental expectations, adolescent perception of parental acceptance, parental monitoring, and communication with parents are the aspects that can affect the influence of family environment. The use of alcohol by same-age friends, peer, and friends' approval of alcohol use affect the peer influence. To sum up, less contact with friends and peers who use alcohol, less peer influence to use alcohol. Great self-efficacy for avoiding alcohol use are related to parental disapproval. We found 2 writers who have written a book about that topic. The first writer is Judith Harris, whose book is called The Nurture Assumption: Why Children Turn Out the Way They Do. This book fixed his attention in how parents' behavior and the way to raise their children affect in the way children behave. We can observe too that this book explains that the genes inherited have a big importance in this fact. This affirmation implies that in adopted children have not any correlation between the personality of them and their parents. Also, children playmates have an effect in their behaviors. Harris says too that a strong effect of social environment and the weak effect of parents is seen in the children of immigrants. According to Harris, parents have an important role in childhood development, but it depends on parenting styles. In conclusion, this book says that parents' behavior is the main cause of children's development and behavior. The second writer is Ann Halbert, who wrote a book called Raising America. In this book, Halbert shows us the history of some experts that advise how to raise their children. According to Halbert, parenting styles have a big impact in children's behavior, but this is the correct way to produce the outcome that parents want. In conclusion, parents contribute to some of the outcomes they complain, but in much more indirect ways.